Hello, and welcome to this week's guided meditation on YouTube. And my name's Wendy Passmore, and we will have about a half an hour of being guided through some prayerful reflections on our experiences of the week, and also on a psalm that we will do some meditation with. But as we're in this Holy Week, which is part of the Christian world, I'd just like to talk a little bit about my experience or thoughts around the cross, which is part of the central feature of this week, actually. And Jesus, for me, has been a great inspiration as I've spent a lot of years reflecting on his life and his teachings and his message. And I find it all very deeply inspiring. And the message of the cross for me is not one that he died for my sins. Like for me, it's more of him showing the way in the midst of such abuse, of such violence, of such betrayal and injustice. He was able to forgive those around who had put him there. And at the end, at the other side of that grueling experience, there was new life. Jesus was a threat to the religious community of his day, and he was also a threat to the Roman Empire. He had a lot of followers, and he was really a prophetic voice in speaking the truth to power. And he needed to be executed because he was a threat to the power. And so that's what happened. But in the midst of that grueling experience, he showed us the way to love and to forgive. And he was empowered by the Spirit. So I think in my own personal journey, that is really the message, to move through the grace of forgiveness, being empowered by the Spirit. And on the other side of really authentically finding myself that, yeah, I'm free. I've forgiven those who have betrayed and hurt me. That there is new life, that I'm free. So I pray that all of us in the coming week will have the grace as we reflect on those who perhaps we're being called to forgive, that we'll be able to move in that direction to find new life. But let's just start by taking some deep breaths and just grounding ourselves in God's loving presence, um, being comfortable in the chair that we're sitting in, and just taking breaths and just grounding ourselves in that love. So let's take 7 or 8 deep breaths just to get into that quiet place. So, as we're in this quiet, sacred place, let us invite the Spirit to gently guide us through the memories of our experiences of this past week. And let us settle into that moment where we were especially enlivened, where it was a wonderful moment of experiencing presence, maybe in relationship with others, an encounter. Maybe we just had an aha moment and just felt really good. Maybe it was music. so so life-giving, often the music experience. So whatever it was, let's just stay in that moment and experience those feelings again that were so life-giving and wonderful. And what do you suppose that God's message to you might be in and through that experience that was so life giving? What was the message? And what's my response to that message? And so, again, let's invite the Spirit to gently guide us through the experiences of this past week. And let's land in a moment or a situation that we found especially challenging or difficult. And let's just see what that was all about as we reflect on it now in this quiet place. Did I have a knee-jerk reaction to something, or did something happen that irked me, that triggered me in some way? Anyway, let's just go into that experience and see what message the Spirit might have for us and what was it all about? What were our feelings? So, is there any other learnings from that challenging moment that I need to pay attention to? And yeah, what is the message? And is there anything else that's shown up this week that I might need to pay attention to? So now we can perhaps move into some prayerful reflection on the psalm of this week. It's excerpts from Psalm 119, and it's a modern translation written by Nan Merrill. So I'm going to read it through 3 times. So the first time we can just stay with the word or the phrase that spoke to us or is speaking to us. And the second time we can explore that, why that word or phrase seems to be speaking to me at this moment. And the third time we'll just offer a prayer in response to what we've heard. Teach me to stand firm when faced with injustice and oppression, to be fervent in my stance for truth. Even though fears rise up, may my eyes remain focused on you. With my heart's ear, I hear the injunction to pray for my enemies, even those who persecute me. How can I, weak and fear-filled, heed this difficult teaching? Help me to understand your ways and to have the strength to follow through. Who is the enemy from whom I run? But the ego fears hidden in the shadows within. Strengthen me according to your life and lead me gently into the light. In your love is the power to calm the storms of adversity. Show me the power of your forgiving love and birth me into new life. So, the word or phrase that seems to speak to me in this. And as I read it through the second time, let's just explore and maybe write a bit about why that word or phrase seems to speak to me at this moment. Teach me to stand firm when faced with injustice and oppression, to be fervent in my stance for truth. Even though fears rise up, may my eyes remain focused on you. With my heart's ear, I hear the injunction to pray for my enemies, even those who persecute me. How can I, weak and fear-filled, heed this difficult teaching. Help me to understand your ways and to have the strength to follow through. Who is the enemy from whom I run? But the ego fears hidden in the shadows within. Strengthen me according to your life and lead me gently into the light. In your love is the power to calm the storms of adversity. Show me the power of your forgiving love and birth me into new life. So let's spend a few minutes with the word or the message that I receive from this and why. So after I read it through this third time, we're invited to just offer a prayer in response. Or we can just, as I read it, just make it our own prayer. Teach me to stand firm when faced with injustice and oppression, to be fervent in my stance for truth. Even though fears rise up, may my eyes remain focused on you. With my heart's ear, I hear the injunction to pray for my enemies, even those who persecute me. How can I, weak and fear-filled, heed this difficult teaching? Help me to understand your ways and to have the strength to follow through. Who is the enemy from whom I run? But the ego fears hidden in the shadows within. Strengthen me according to your life and lead me gently into the light. In your love is the power to calm the storms of adversity. Show me the power of your forgiving love and birth me into new life. Show me the power of your forgiving love and birth me into new life. Beautiful words for this Holy Week. It's really what it's all about. So let's, in this quiet, sacred time that we're experiencing now, bring those people or those situations that we're carrying in our heart into this time, into the divine light, into the forgiving love of God's presence. Perhaps we can just name the people, our family members, our situations we find ourselves, bringing that into this divine love and light. And again, as we quietly reflect on our past week, let's land into moments or people or things that happen that we're grateful for, and let's just stay in that moment of gratitude and thanksgiving for things in our life in the midst of this challenging time that we're all in globally, a pandemic. But is there experiences that we have that we can be grateful for? Perhaps we can take a few minutes and just write some prayers of gratitude. And just to take us back to where we started, about this week and the journey of the cross. And for us, we can maybe take it as, excuse me, being the journey of forgiving. And so maybe we can just take a few moments now again to think about people or in our own lives, who or what do we need to forgive, and let's just invite the gracious power of God's Spirit to move in that part of our life where we need to be liberated and we need to forgive and to let go. And of course, forgiving doesn't necessarily mean that there will be reconciliation, but it means that I have moved into that grace of forgiving and letting go for my own journey, for my own. Yeah. And so when we think of Jesus on the cross in the excruciating pain physically and being betrayed, and the injustice of it all, and he was able to forgive those around him. May we have the same empowerment to forgive. And so, as we close this time, let us again quietly in our hearts just repeat these words: I am loved, I am known, and I matter. I am loved, I am known, and I matter. I am loved, I am known, and I matter. May we all feel the truth of that reality in our heart and in our experience. And may this week truly be grace filled for each one of us. So, until we meet again, God bless you.